Luqman Hakim, thank you so much for being with us. Welcome to tonight.
Welcome. It's very nice to be here.
So, as I said, we're talking about pursuing knowledge. I'd like to read real quickly a few lines of a definition. I just did a Google search for the word knowledge, and the first one that came up was Wikipedia. It says that knowledge can refer to a theoretical or practical understanding of a subject. Knowledge, it says, is a familiarity, an awareness or understanding of someone or something, such as facts, information, descriptions, or skills, which is acquired through experience or education or by perceiving, discovering, or learning. That's the general definition of knowledge. So we as Muslims are encouraged to pursue knowledge, which according to the definition is not just information, but skills, and etc. Please talk to us as Muslims. Why is it important for us to pursue knowledge?
First of all, let me begin by saying all praises are to Allah, the Lord of the universe. May peace and blessing be upon our beloved Prophet, his family, his companions, and for those who follow them in the righteousness until the day of judgment. First of all, that we have to know is that knowledge is very important in Islam. The knowledge is very important in our religion. If you look at the first ayah came to the Prophet Muhammad, was talking about Iqra. What does Iqra mean? Iqra has meaning reading, whether reading from the book or memorizing or reciting something from your memory. That is why if you look at the first revelation that came to the Prophet Muhammad, when the Prophet Muhammad was in the cave of Hira, Archangel Gabriel was coming down to him and he was asking the Prophet Muhammad, "Oh Muhammad, Iqra." "Oh Muhammad, read." And the Prophet Muhammad was replying, "Ma ana biqari." I could not read, because the Prophet thought that Jibril was asking him to take the book and then going to read this book. And as you know that the Prophet Muhammad was illiterate, he could not read and write. How Archangel Gabriel was asking him to write. But the reading here is not the reading from the book, but it's meant to recite something, the revelation coming down from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So from very beginning, Islam encouraged the importance of knowledge, because Islam encouraged the reading or Iqra. So we are the people of Qira'ah, the people of reading, because reading is the key for any knowledge. If you want to become more educated people, if you want to understand everything, we have to read. Without reading, we will not have any knowledge. So I would like to emphasize here, Islam is the religion of knowledge. In fact, the first revelation came down to the Prophet Muhammad was talking about the importance of reading. And also, if we are going to look at the history of the Prophet, for instance, when the Prophet Muhammad was migrating to Medina, the first things that the Prophet Muhammad did is establishing the mosque, establishing the masjid. And the companion of the Prophet in the time, they were staying in the mosque, they were gathering in the mosque in order to learn something, in order to learn religion from the Prophet directly.
Not just to pray.
Yes,
it was a learning
because
center.
the mosque is the central of education. It's not only the place for praying, but it's social place, religious place, education place, and so far and so on. And I'm going to talk about the first school, the first madrasah that the Prophet Muhammad was established in the time in Medina.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Brother Lukman.
Okay.
Very nice introduction to this very long and rich tradition we have of pursuing knowledge as Muslims. I don't know if you had a chance to see the second segment. We were talking about African expatriates in Egypt, and the majority of them are pursuing knowledge, Islamic knowledge at Al-Azhar. But one of the things that came out of that discussion was a problem of brain drain, where some expatriate Muslims are coming to to Egypt from various African countries and are overstaying their visas. Maybe even a success case where they've finished, they've graduated, they've become knowledgeable, they've become sheikhs, but are staying behind, and they illustrate it by saying that some of the masjids here have like 30 sheikhs because the brothers are not going back home. So I'd like to ask you about intentions. Right? I'd like to weave into this important about the best intention to have when pursuing knowledge.
The intention is very important in Islam. If we are going to talk about the importance of intention in Islam, the Prophet ever said, "Innamal a'malu binniyat." Every action is determined by intention. That is why intention is very important in Islam. If you look at the works of many Muslim scholars, they used to begin his book by this hadith, "Innamal a'malu binniyat." And some of them said, everyone who wants to write any book, he should start with this hadith. The reason why, because this hadith is very important. It reminds us to have a good sincerity. If you have good sincerity, if you have a good attention, that you are going to seek knowledge in order to please Allah, you will be rewarded. You will give benefit for your ummah, for your people, and also you will get the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why seeking knowledge in Islam is obligation. It's not just, something optional. It is something obligation.
I want to ask you about the types of knowledge. There's all kinds of knowledge. Are we encouraged to only pursue? I'd like for you to make the case that we should also be pursuing knowledge, especially for our careers, for our academic disciplines, developing a sense of history. Is that also a part of this pursuit that we should have?
Yes, you are absolutely right. In Islam, actually, if you are talking about the kinds of knowledge, knowledge is not limited in religious sciences, but also it includes scholar sciences. There is no any dichotomy, there is no any separation between religious knowledge and scholarly knowledge. If you are going to read the Quran, Al-Quran is not talking about spiritual dimension only, but Al-Quran is talking about many things in order we try to contemplate, to think of creation. So in Al-Quran itself, we don't find religious knowledge only, but also we find scholar knowledge. If you are look at the history, for instance, in the medieval ages, Islam produced many scholars. They were not expert in religious sciences, but also they were experts in scholar sciences. In fact, we have scholar knowledge. For instance, in the time when Islam was in Andalus, in Spain right now, we have philosophers, we have sciences, many scholars like Averroes or Ibn Rushd, if you are familiar with him. He was the jurist. In fact, he wrote the most beautiful book in Islam jurisprudence, Bidatul Mujtahid. We study this book in religious seminary in Islamic seminary, but also he was a great commentator of Aristotle, the most greatest philosopher from Greek. It means that Ibn Rushd, he was expert in religious sciences and also expert in scholar sciences.
You know, and this also relates to our last conversation, this problem of brain drain. You know, we still have great Muslim scientists, academics doing great and wonderful things, but we don't see them as much because they've migrated to non-Muslim countries in Europe, United States, working for NASA and Microsoft and all these major companies and government agencies, doing wonderful things for those governments and those Western companies. If we could get more to stay home and do great things for Muslim majority countries, then I think we could see better this continuation of this rich heritage of pursuing knowledge in all aspects of life.
And also I would like to address in this issue, we actually have problem in our institution, in our universities. For instance, the student of Al-Azhar, they just give attention of religious sciences and they forget about scholar sciences. And also the curriculum doesn't support it. For instance, we find a lot of sheikh, a lot of religious scholar, but they don't know anything about the scholar sciences. This problem, and then they will give fatwa and they will give religious verdict, and his fatwa is contradicting to the natural science, for instance.
Okay, yeah, you just answered my question. I just want to. So there, it's very tightly focused on religious
sciences
at the expense of the sciences and mathematics and all this type of thing.
Yes, I don't say that, for instance, Sheikh, he must reach the high level of natural sciences, but at least they know the basic of scholar sciences. In fact, for instance, Ibn Taymiyyah, I think you are familiar with him.
Yeah.
He is, I mean, the big scholar in medieval time. He said that I study astronomy, I study medicine before I become a great scholar.
Yeah, got it. In the United States, the education system, we call it general education. By law, you're required to take some English, some math, some history, some humanities. You have to be exposed to all these subjects and then do your major subject. But you're saying at Azhar it's not like that.
No, actually, it's problem if we are talking the education in the scholar countries, they don't give attention to religious sciences. But if we are going to talk about education in Islamic countries, they just focus on religious sciences. It have to be balanced.
Yeah.
You have to study religious sciences and also you have to study scholar sciences.
I'd like to ask, thank you. I'd like to ask you about a plan. Is there a certain approach that we should have in mind? Let's say we'll talk about religious knowledge for the time being. Maybe it's a new Muslim. I mean, there's a whole body, 14 centuries of scholarship about you know, the religion, the theology, etc. Is there a recommendation for how to approach all this information?
No, I mean, the knowledge that you have to study is the knowledge that is relating how to practice your religion. Since you are, for instance, a new Muslim, you doesn't need to study all bodies of Islamic sciences. You need many times. You need to know about the different opinion of scholars and so far and so on. And then you will get confused how to practice this religion.
So it should be in stages.
Yes.
Okay, and the first stage is, you would say?
We have to study the sciences gradually, step by step.
Okay.
So the first thing that we have to do if we are new Muslim, we have to study prayers, how to give charity, how to fast if the month of Ramadan is coming, and also how to perform Hajj if you have means, if you have material to go to Mecca. This is the basic things that you have to know.
Make ourselves experts of the 5 pillars in Islam.
Yes. At least we have to study how to pray, how to perform ablution, how to, what is something that can break the salah, for instance, something like that.
Brother Lukman, we have very quickly run out of time. 2 minutes to wrap up things. How would you like to end our conversation?
I think the point that I would like to conclude my statement in this discussion, we have to know that Islam encourages us to study all knowledge. In Islam, there is no dichotomy between religious knowledge and scholar knowledge. We have to study both. We cannot, pay attention to Islamic knowledge only and then we leave scholar knowledge. We have to study both. This is the most important message that I'm going to address in this discussion.
All right. Brother Lukman, thank you so much for being with us.
You are welcome.
We enjoyed our time with you. Dear viewer, we have reached the end of the program for today. Thank you so much. We hope it was beneficial and informative. Inshallah, we'll be back tomorrow to continue the program with more news, information, and discussions. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.